Chapter 13. In the assembly hall, a collective unease fills the air as Sergeant Knox announces a new challenge. Our simulated infiltration mission has been cancelled following my accident. A new replacement test has been put in place. It will take place in the Academy's forest. It involves the search for a hidden object intertwined with a survival scenario. Anxiety spreads through the room as the word survival echoes. Are we overreacting? I glance at Jack, standing there tensed beside me. The memory of the dismissed mission floods back. My attack, my injury, and the chilling moment when Jack killed Taryn, my aggressor. A knot forms in my stomach. There's been no word on any repercussions for him, no whispers in the halls or sidelong glances. It's as if the incident has been swallowed by the facility's walls, leaving behind a haunting silence. As Sergeant Knox concludes the briefing, a sea of raised hands follows, questions about the mysterious object we're meant to find in the woods. But Knox remains deliberately vague, his answers as elusive as useless in our quest. These woods adjacent to the facility are familiar yet daunting. Every morning, Jack and I have run through their winding paths, our feet pounding against the earth, weaving between the tall trees. In the early morning mist, the forest holds a certain tranquility, a peacefulness that belies the intensity of our training. It's a place of natural beauty and serenity. Now, as the location of our next test, it transforms into a daunting maze, its familiar paths set to become the stage for a grueling survival test. Jack's beside me, his presence a steady anchor in the sea of uncertainty that has suddenly engulfed us. Still teaming up? I ask, needing the reassurance of his partnership. His smile, brief but genuine, eases some of the tension in my shoulders. Of course, he replies. We make our way to the computer room, the nerve center where our true strategy starts to crystallize. My fingers dance across the keyboard in a flurry of keystrokes as I breach the facility's security protocols and access their surveillance footage. As expected, the forest is teeming with cameras, a disconcerting fact that now proves advantageous. I dive into the recordings from the last 24 hours. Time seems to warp and distort as we analyze the footage, the silence of the room punctuated only by the rhythmic clicks of the mouse. I glance at Jack and notice his struggle to keep his eyes open, his body succumbing to the overwhelming monotony of the task. Suddenly, on the screen, movement. Two human figures, Lieutenant Vega and Corporal Miles, and let's just say the atmosphere is steamy. I turn to Jack, an eyebrow raised. Should we be watching this? My heart wavers between thirst for information and respect for privacy. Jack, meanwhile, flashes a sly grin. Maybe we could learn some new acrobatic moves? A mischievous wink accompanies his words, but his smile quickly fades. Disappointment. Or not. They're deadly boring. He sighs. Let's focus on the object of our search. Then, the real breakthrough. 3 unknown figures clad in black appear on the screen. They move with purpose, their actions deliberate. We watch as they head towards the ravine, concealing something beneath a rock. That's it, I whisper, a mix of excitement and anxiety coursing through me. Jack deftly marks the location on his phone's map, his fingers moving with practiced ease. The pinpoint on the screen becomes a kind of beacon, luring us toward our goal. But inside me, a sense of unease stirs, an instinctual whisper of danger that I can't quite identify. The very act of getting to this location and retrieving the object, whatever it may be, feels suspiciously straightforward for a test. It's as if we're being lured into a scenario that's too neatly laid out, too convenient. This undercurrent of apprehension courses through me, its origin elusive but its presence unmistakable. In moments like this, the line between excitement and fear becomes blurred, and the thrill of the unknown battles with the warning signals flash in my mind. As Jack and I step into the embrace of the forest, the atmosphere shifts palpably. The dense canopy above filters the sunlight into a tapestry of shadows and dappled light, casting an otherworldly glow on everything. My heart races, not from fear, but from the adrenaline. I feel a sense of resolve settle over me. This is the last test, and I'm ready. The woods are alive with sounds, the distant rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of the wind. I take a deep breath, letting the cool, earthy air fill my lungs. Sergeant Knox's words about a survival scenario echo in my mind, a cryptic puzzle to solve. What dangers lie hidden in these woods? My curiosity is piqued, but I'm cautious, even if I cannot see anything out of place. We move with purpose, Jack and I, our steps synchronized. I can see other trainees meandering through the trees aimlessly. They seem to lack our direction, our intent. Suddenly, a scream pierces the calm, slicing through the tranquil forest air. It's distant, its source unknown, but it sends a shiver down my spine. I pause, straining my ears for any clue, any hint of what caused it. My thoughts flicker to Clara, hoping she's safe, hoping she's using the skills we've learned to navigate this test. I can't let worry distract me, though. I need to stay focused. Jack's hand briefly touches my arm, a silent signal to keep moving. There's an unspoken understanding between us, a shared determination to face whatever this test throws at us. We press on, our senses heightened, ready for anything. The forest might be a maze of uncertainty, but I'm no stranger to challenges anymore. I've faced them before, in the training grounds, in the face of adversity, even within myself. We're moving swiftly when it happens. Jack steps forward and suddenly there's a metallic snap. A trap clamps down on his calf. His scream slices through the forest air, a raw and primal sound. A bear trap, its steel jaws clamping down on torn flesh, the metallic teeth buried deep, blood oozes, painting the forest floor a gruesome crimson. For a heartbeat, I'm paralyzed, the scene a horrific tableau. Then, survival instincts kick in and I lunge into action. I spot a sturdy branch nearby. Grabbing it, I wedge it into the trap's jaws. I use the leverage and all my strength to pry the merciless steel apart. Jack wrenches his leg free with a pained groan. Blood gushes from the gaping wound, a scarlet river escaping the torn flesh. His face is a mask of pain, but he regains control quickly. He tears a piece of his shirt, fashioning a makeshift bandage. He wraps it tightly around his leg, trying to stem the flow of blood. "We need to get you to the infirmary," I say urgently. Jack shakes his head, gritting his teeth. "We finish this test. There's no turning back," he insists, his voice strained. "Jack, you're losing a lot of blood, maybe even your leg," I press on. "It'll be fine, and I can't give up." "Move now," he orders. His leg is badly injured, not broken, but every move is a battle against pain. He limps forward, determined, towards the location we identified. I'm torn between concern and admiration. The resilience, or perhaps it's better described as craziness, within him is astounding. He must be in tremendous pain, clenching his teeth so tightly as he moves that I fear they might shatter. The tension on his face speaks of acute agony, each movement seeming to require a superhuman effort. With Jack's injury slowing us down, we advance with renewed caution. Every step is measured, every sound analyzed. The forest feels more menacing now, its dangers no longer just hypothetical. As we navigate through the dense undergrowth, the earlier screams echo in my mind. The realization hits me hard. They were from other trainees, likely caught in traps similar to Jack's. This test is more brutal than any of us anticipated. I scan the ground meticulously, wary of more traps. Jack's pained breathing is a constant reminder of the stakes. We can't afford another misstep. I feel Jack's reliance on me, his normally sturdy presence now faltering. But his determination is unbroken, his eyes fixed on our goal. We approach the ravine, the location we identified from the surveillance footage. Every movement is deliberate. We're close now, so close to the hidden object. But with the realization of what these woods hold, victory feels bittersweet. Jack leans heavily on a tree, his breathing labored. I reach out, steadying him. Our destination is now within close reach. The forest feels alive, almost pulsing with unseen threats. I'm on edge, every sense heightened. My trainee uniform clings to me, the fabric damp with sweat and forest grime. I can feel strands of my usually light hair sticking to my forehead. Jack is by my side, the bandage on his leg darkened and soaked with blood. He's losing too much blood. I'm afraid he might lose consciousness. We need to hurry back to the infirmary. His black hair sticks to his forehead, and his expression is one of severe pain. Abruptly, they appear, the three men in black from the surveillance footage. They emerge from the shadows like specters, their features hidden, their bodies clad in black combat gear that makes them part of the shadows. They move with a menacing grace, clearly skilled and ready to strike. My heart leaps into my throat, but training takes over. Adrenaline surges through me, sharpening my senses, honing my reflexes. Jack and I move as one, back to back, facing the onslaught. The forest turns into a battleground. The smaller attacker lunges at me, his movements quick like a striking snake. I counter with equal speed, my training kicking in. Punches and kicks are exchanged in a rapid, brutal dance. I pivot on my heel, meeting his charge head-on. My fist connects with his jaw in a solid hit. I can taste the satisfying tang of adrenaline in my mouth. I feel the impact of a fist against my face. My lip splits. But the pain is just a background noise. It fuels me, ignites a fiercer fight within me. I launch myself towards him, tackling him to the ground with a force that knocks the wind out of both of us. For a moment, everything is a chaotic tangle of limbs and ragged breaths. I scramble up, aware of a sharp pain in my side. It's nothing I can't handle. I've faced worse. My focus narrows to the adversaries before us. My body moves with a precision honed by endless hours of training, each strike deliberate, each dodge a dance with danger. Meanwhile, Jack faces the other two. He's a force to be reckoned with, each of his movements powerful, despite the pain I know is coursing through his leg. He resembles a cornered animal, dangerous and unpredictable. He fights as if he has no weaknesses, with unmatched speed and strength. The attackers are relentless, but Jack's resilience is a blend of beauty and terror. I catch a glimpse of him teetering dangerously close to the ravine's edge. My heart leaps into my throat. Turning back to my own assailant, I block a vicious swing and counter with an elbow strike. The forest blurs into a whirlwind of motion around us. Every strike, every block, every move I make is fueled by a blend of training and raw instinct. As I turn, one of Jack's attackers lies motionless on the ground, but the other is pressing him dangerously close to the ravine's edge. My heart lurches with fear for him. Every instinct screams for me to intervene, but my own opponent demands all my attention. The fight with my assailant is a brutal dance. We're evenly matched in speed, but I refuse to yield. I will not give up today. I feel there is no giving up here. Then, in a heart-stopping moment, I see Jack's foot slip. He staggers into the ravine. Instinct and adrenaline surge within me. I channel every ounce of my strength into a single desperate move. My leg arcs through the air, my foot connecting with my attacker's head with a force that reverberates through my entire body. He collapses to the ground with a thud. I react with a primal instinct. I snatch a heavy rock from the floor, its rough surface biting into my palm. With the giant's back turned to me, his attention fixated on the ravine's edge, I seize my chance. My legs drive me forward, every muscle coiled tight with tension. The giant is a formidable figure, his size and strength evident in every line of his body. But he's unaware of my approach. I close the distance between us in mere moments. My breath is ragged, my heart a tempest of fear and determination. With a guttural cry, I swing the rock with all the strength I can muster. The rock connects with the back of his head. He staggers, a look of surprise etched on his face for a split second before he crumbles to the ground, unconscious. I lunge towards the edge, my heart pounding in my chest. Looking over, I see Jack, hanging precariously, his face determined and strained. Our eyes meet in a silent exchange of fear and resolve. "Jack!" I shout, extending my arm as far as I can. "Grab my hand!" With all my strength, I reach down towards him. Jack, with a Herculean effort, stretches his free hand up to mine. Our fingers brush, then clasp tightly. Our grip is strong, a lifeline in the midst of chaos. I pull with all my might, every muscle in my body straining. Jack scrambles, his feet finding purchase on the rough surface of the cliff. Together, we fight against the pull of gravity, against the very forces that seek to claim him. Slowly, agonizingly, I haul Jack up over the edge. He collapses beside me on solid ground, both of us panting, our bodies trembling with the aftershocks of adrenaline. Lying there, under the vast forest canopy, I'm a whirlwind of emotions. The near loss of him, the adrenaline rush, the relief of still being alive, they all swirl together into one overwhelming feeling. Jack turns to me, his eyes mirroring the depth of emotion stirring within me. In those eyes, I see everything we've been through, the fights, the fears, the unyielding determination. We are beyond mere training partners. We've together skirted the very edges of life and death. The connection between us is no longer just a thread of shared experiences. It's a bond, strong and unbreakable. Without thinking, I surrender to an impulse as urgent as it is irresistible. I throw myself at Jack, closing the distance between us in a single motion. Our lips clash in a raw and fierce kiss, unleashing every hidden thought, every suppressed emotion. My lip still throbs from the blow I received. but right now, I couldn't care less. This is a kiss born from the fire of survival. It's reckless, passionate, an explosion of wild, uncontrollable desire. Jack responds with an intensity that matches my own, his hand finding its way to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. In this kiss, we find something that goes beyond the fear and the fight. It's a moment of raw passion, a surrender to the feelings that have been simmering beneath the surface. A fervent need swells within me, urging me to diminish the space between us even further, our clothing the only barrier between us. The kiss, as consuming as it was, feels like just a prelude to what I yearn for. I lean in, craving more, longing to dissolve any remaining distance. But Jack, his body still resonating with the heat of our embrace, pushes me away. His fingers, once passionate, now hold a firmness that halts me. "Eva, you have to stop," he says, his voice a blend of restraint and something darker, more turbulent. His muscles are taut, like coiled springs, his eyes a stormy abyss that threatens to swallow me whole. My heart plummets, heavy with a mix of confusion and hurt. His tone hardens, each word deliberate. "That is not what you want. I'm not what you want." Anger flares within me, fierce and defiant. "Let me decide what I want," I retort, my voice laced with fury and frustration. Jack's expression softens, his thumb tracing my jawline gently. "I'm not about hand-holding and sunset kisses, Eva. I'm not boyfriend material." He pauses, his gaze challenging. His voice drops, taking on a darker edge. "I like it rough. I don't do restraints. This isn't something you can handle," he states, his words hanging heavy in the air, loaded with unspoken implications. His intention is clear, to push me away, to frighten me with the raw truth of who he's. I scramble to my feet, my head spinning with a tumult of emotions. Swallowing hard, I try to dislodge the lump forming in my throat, but it stubbornly remains. My usually steady voice wavers slightly as I speak. "As you wish," I manage to say, each word tinged with hurt and resignation. "Let's just grab this damn object and get you to the infirmary." In the aftermath of our confrontation, I force my swirling thoughts into a locked compartment in my mind. Jack's rejection, my own anger and frustration, they're pushed aside. Survival mode kicks in. There's a mission at hand and Jack's injury to consider. Our attackers are still unconscious but breathing, which is good. Now we need to hurry. We find the object hidden beneath a pile of rocks. It's a book, an ancient relic from a time when people still wrote on paper, when printing houses churned out pages filled with words and images. I run my fingers over the cover, feeling the texture of a world lost to time. Inside, the book is filled with images of a world I've never seen, only heard about in hushed tones. The pictures depict peace and abundance, a stark contrast to the world I know. It's a glimpse into a past where people had everything they needed to be happy, yet chose to tear each other apart over moral concepts and fake integrity. The irony of it stings, and a single tear trails down my cheek. As I study the images contrasting them with the fragments of history I know, a bitterness settles over me. In these pages lies a depiction of happiness, so sharply contrasting with the post-war torn world I have come to know. It's almost absurd, in a twisted sort of way. Our ancestors, living in a world bursting with potential, opted to carve deep divides across nations. Cultural clashes, debates over global issues like climate change, human rights, and cyber governance, all fuel for the fire that eventually consumed them. The spark that ignited the war seems, in hindsight, as trivial as it was catastrophic. How foolish they must have been, trading peace for power, dialogue for destruction. The war itself, a complex tapestry of traditional military confrontations, economic warfare, and cyber battles, left nothing but devastation in its wake. It tore the world apart, inflicting unspeakable human suffering and environmental ruin. And for what? A fleeting sense of supremacy? The hollow victory of resource control? Another tear escapes as I flip through the pages. The irony of it all is overwhelming. They had everything needed to craft a world of harmony and prosperity. Yet they chose a path of destruction, blinded by pride and short-sighted desires. Jack's gentle voice pulls me from my thoughts. He tucks the book beneath his shirt, shielding it from prying eyes. We can't afford another fight to protect it from our rivals. We press on toward the main building, our progress slowed by Jack's injury. He leans on me, our movements synchronized by a shared goal. As we limp through the forest, the images from the book haunt me. The serene landscapes, the smiling faces, They're a stark reminder of what humanity once had and what we've lost. The infirmary buzzes with activity, filled with trainees sporting the aftermath of today's trials. Some bear minor burns, others display deep cuts that silently narrate the day's brutality. One trainee sits with an arrow lodged in her arm, a grim testament to the challenges we faced. Medical staff dart around, their faces etched with focus as they attend to the wounded. As I sit in the midst of this controlled chaos, waiting for Jack, Clara finds me. Relief washes over my face as I see her unscathed. "Eva, you're okay," she exclaims, her voice cutting through the infirmary's din. Her concern is a balm, but it can't penetrate the turmoil inside me. Her gaze suddenly drops to my lip, where the split from the fight is still fresh. "Eva, your lip," she starts, her voice laced with concern. I instinctively touch the tender spot, feeling the sting anew. "Oh, this?" "It is glued back," I say, trying to sound nonchalant. "It happened during the fight. One of the attackers got a lucky hit." Clara frowns, her eyes reflecting a mixture of concern and admiration. "You had to fight?" she marvels. "What a crazy hassle. I thought it was just a matter of finding the damn thing." I nod, the memory of the fight flooding back. It was intense, frightening. Jack and I, we had to really fight to make it through. Her eyes widen in terror, her hand instinctively covering her mouth to muffle a cry. "He got hurt," I continue, my voice a bit hollow. "It was close, Clara. He nearly didn't make it." The words hang heavily between us, mingling with the sounds of the infirmary. I recount to her the day's harrowing events, Jack's harrowing injury, our desperate fight for survival in the woods. "I don't get how things spiraled like this," Clara muses, more to herself than to me. "It was meant to be a test, not a battlefield." Her words echo my own inner turmoil. "It's getting harder to tell the difference," I say softly, my mind drifting back to the forest. I take a deep breath, gathering the courage to share more. "Clara, there's something else. After the fight, in a moment I can't fully explain, we kissed." Clara's eyes widen slightly, a mix of shock and curiosity in her gaze. "Yes, and it was powerful, raw. There was so much in that kiss, so much pleasure." I continue, struggling to articulate the whirlwind of feelings that drove me in that moment. I don't know what came over me. But it's when I tell her about Jack's subsequent rejection that her expression shifts to one of indignation. "He what?" she exclaims, her voice rising. "After everything, after you literally saved his life, he pushed you away?" I nod, feeling a fresh wave of hurt at the memory. "Yeah, he did. He said he wasn't what I wanted, that he wasn't boyfriend material or something like that." Clara's anger is palpable. "What a jerk! I can't believe he would say that to you, especially after you were there for him when it mattered most." She notices my distant gaze and gently nudges my arm. "Whatever it is, you'll get through it, Eva. You always do." I let out a sigh, feeling the weight of the day pressing down on me. The confession, though difficult, feels like a release, a small unburdening of the turmoil inside me. "But I shouldn't have let it happen," I murmur, the doubt creeping in. "I've always been so in control, so focused, and now—" "Eva, you're human," Clara interjects softly, her voice firm yet kind. "You're allowed to have moments of weakness, to act on impulse. It doesn't make you fragile." Her words are a balm to the chaos of my thoughts. In this moment, Clara isn't just a fellow trainee. She's a friend, a confidant, someone who sees me not just as a warrior in training, but as a person, full of complexities and contradictions. As the minutes tick by, Clara leans closer, her eyes alight with curiosity, an attempt to shift the mood. "You know, I had some pretty close shaves out there, too. Managed to dodge a bunch of traps, though I never did find the object. Did you find the damn thing?" I nod. "We managed to remove the object. I think there was only one to find for all of us," I add, trying to distance myself from the raw emotions still simmering inside me. "It was an old book from before the war." "A book?" Clara's curiosity is evident. "What was in it?" "Images, pictures of the world before everything fell apart. It was peaceful." My voice trails off as I recall the serene landscape, so different from the world we now know. As I speak, Clara listens, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and worry. She congratulates me on managing all the tests, on being so close to joining the police force aid. But her words feel distant, like they're reaching me from across a vast chasm. I'm lost, though I don't confess this to Clara. In just 4 weeks, my world has been turned upside down. The academy, which I entered with a clear purpose, now seems like a labyrinth of uncertainty. I've seen the world through new eyes, experienced things that have altered me in ways I can't yet fully understand. Her words are meant to be reassuring, but they leave me pondering. In the midst of the infirmary's bustle, with injured trainees all around, I feel a profound sense of uncertainty. As I wait for news on Jack's condition, I realize that this ordeal has been a crucible, testing and reshaping me. The Eva that entered the academy is not the same one sitting in this infirmary waiting room. I'm stronger, yes, but also more aware of the fragility and complexity of the world around me.
Did this story captivate you? Help this book find its place in the vast world of literature. Share your thoughts. Leave a review on Goodreads. Your support means everything. Link in the description. For just the price of a coffee, you can dive into the full audiobook and support my journey as an author. Every contribution truly means the world to me and keeps this adventure alive. The link to the audiobook on Kobo is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for your support.